Since the dawn of civilization, humanity has danced with the seductive pull of alcohol, a shimmering elixir that promises to drown pain, silence fear, and unlock ecstasy. But beneath the clink of glasses and the flicker of firelight, a deeper truth stirs, unsettling and often ignored. Alcohol is more than a drink. It's an ancient spell, a portal whispered through centuries, offering what seems like freedom, but at a devastating cost. Civilizations once poured it in tribute to their gods, believing it bridged the gap between mortal and divine. And maybe in those early moments it did. But today, its magic is distorted. What once symbolized transcendence has become a trap. A celebration turns to sorrow. A moment of joy mutates into a fog of regret. We reach for the bottle not to live more deeply, but to escape what already aches within. And that's the tragedy. We seek oblivion when what we truly need is presence. In chasing relief, we sever our connection to the very soul we're meant to awaken. So ask yourself, when you drink, are you celebrating life? Or trying to forget it? The line between ritual and ruin is razor thin, and most never realize they've crossed it until they're already lost. Hidden within the very word we casually toss around, alcohol, lies an ancient, almost forgotten warning. Al-Kuhul, from the Arabic, once meant something far more sinister than celebration. It referred to a body-eating spirit, an essence extracted through alchemical fire, believed to consume what is pure and leave behind only shadow. To the alchemists, it wasn't just a substance. It was a volatile soul, a spirit ripped from matter, a symbol of transformation, yes, but also of destruction. It's no accident that we still call them spirits. This isn't poetry. It's prophecy. What began as a sacred process, a divine distillation, has become a global addiction cloaked in laughter and glass. But that ancient truth still pulses beneath the surface. Alcohol doesn't just pass through the body. It clings to the soul, gnawing at the edges of your energetic shield, feeding on your clarity. It was never meant for mass consumption. It was ritual. It was sacred. And now it is everywhere. Think about it. A substance once revered for awakening hidden truths is now used to bury them. The gods once received it as an offering. Today, it takes from you your joy, your presence, your power. And yet, few ever ask why. Why does this celebration leave us hollow? Why does this freedom come with such weight? Maybe because the alchemists were right. Maybe Al-Kuhul really is a spirit, one that devours yours one sip at a time. The question is, what are you offering it every time you drink? And how long before it takes more than you're willing to give? You cannot see it, but it's there, the invisible thread of light that surrounds you, the shimmering veil of energy we call the aura. It holds your emotions, your vitality, your deepest spiritual integrity. And every time alcohol enters your system, that field, the armor of your soul, fractures. What begins as a warm flush or a dizzy laugh is, on an energetic level, a slow unraveling. Alcohol doesn't just dull your senses. It rips small tears in your energy body, creating gaps through which unseen forces slip in. These aren't metaphors. They're warnings spoken for centuries by mystics and modern spiritualists alike. Rudolf Steiner called it the weakening of the spiritual self. Shamans speak of parasitic entities, drawn to the frequency of addiction like moths to flame. These entities, thought forms, astral larvae, obsessing spirits, feed on the very energy you lose when you drink. The more you consume, the more your aura frays, and the further you drift from your higher self. That divine spark, silenced. That intuitive whisper, buried beneath static. You're no longer just drunk, you're spiritually exposed. It's why so many wake up feeling more than just a hangover. There's a deeper sense of disconnection, of something missing, because something was taken. The worst part? You might never notice, until the emptiness becomes unbearable. This isn't about fear. It's about awareness. The energy body is sacred, delicate, resilient, but it must be protected. And alcohol, though wrapped in culture and charm, is a thief in disguise. So the next time you raise a glass, pause. Ask yourself not just how it will make you feel, but what unseen cost it demands. Because on the subtle planes of your being, there's always a price. And sometimes that price is your peace. Why do we reach for the bottle, even when we know how it ends? Why do we chase something we've seen destroy others, unravel minds, and hollow out hearts? The answer lies not in weakness, but in wounds, deep, hidden fractures within the human soul. At its core, alcohol calls to the part of us that feels incomplete. It offers itself as a shortcut to freedom, a fast track to confidence, joy, ecstasy. And for a moment, it works. The anxious feel bold. The shy feel seen. The broken feel whole. But this high is a lie, a shimmering veil of illusion draped over a gaping void. The drink doesn't heal. It hides. It buries the wound beneath a fog so thick you forget you were ever bleeding. But the wound remains. It waits. And the illusion? It fades every time. This is why you feel worse after the euphoria slips away. Because alcohol doesn't give you freedom. It tricks you into thinking you don't need it. Hermetic traditions tell us that humanity is forever yearning for unus mundus, the original unity with the cosmos. But instead of diving inward toward that divine connection, we reach outward, toward what can be poured, swallowed, and forgotten. We want to feel whole, but we settle for drunk. And in doing so, we deepen our disconnection. Alcohol is not the villain. It's the mirror, showing us what we're really trying to escape. The real question is not why you drink, but what you're trying not to feel when you do. Because true liberation doesn't come in a bottle. It comes in presence, in facing the ache, in breathing through it until it transforms. And until we stop chasing illusions, we'll keep mistaking the cage for comfort and calling it relief. Across every age, every culture, every path to the divine, there's a shared, whispering warning. Alcohol clouds the soul. These aren't the empty moral lectures of rigid institutions. They are echoes from awakened beings who saw. From the stillness of Buddhist monks to the poetic fire of Rumi. From the fierce clarity of the Vedas to the mystics of Christian tradition, the message is the same. Intoxicants dull the inner light and weaken the bridge to higher realms. The Buddha, in his eightfold path, cautioned that anything which clouds the mind blocks our vision of truth. The Bhagavad Gita reveals that alcohol increases tamas, darkness, ignorance, inertia, dragging us away from sattva, the purity essential to spiritual ascent. And yet we still romanticize the drink. We ignore the warnings because they don't come wrapped in glitter or convenience. But listen closely. Rumi, who wrote of divine wine that intoxicates the soul with God's love, also warned against the false wine that leads seekers astray. Augustine saw drunkenness as the slow decay of spiritual will, a turning away from grace. Shamans speak of alcohol as a poison to the light body, a beacon for spirits who feed on confusion and chaos. Even the alchemists, who revered transformation, knew the dangers of alcohol's duality. It could be used to reveal or to ruin. And in the wrong hands, it always leaned toward ruin. These weren't mere metaphors. They were survival guides for the soul. If every sacred path has placed alcohol behind cautionary gates, isn't it time we ask why? What were they trying to protect us from? Maybe it wasn't damnation, but disconnection. A slow drift from the divine within us. And maybe, just maybe, that's the most dangerous intoxication of all. Step into a crowded room where glasses clink, laughter echoes, and the air hums with restless energy. It seems like joy. It feels like freedom. But beneath the surface, the vibration shifts. Alcohol, consumed collectively, doesn't just alter individuals. It transforms the entire atmosphere, pulling everyone into a heavier, denser frequency. This is not just social chemistry. It's energetic collapse. When many people drink in one space, their energy fields open and merge, often without control or awareness. The result? A chaotic blend of unfiltered emotions, suppressed traumas, and ego-driven impulses, all amplified and swirling through the room. It's why that party high can so quickly turn into a fight, a breakdown, a blackout. The joy turns primal. The celebration becomes consumption. Spiritual traditions have long warned us. Energy is contagious, and alcohol lowers our defenses. The protective barriers that keep our spirit aligned and grounded, gone. We become sponges for every low vibration floating through the air. The more we drink, the more the group's energy spirals. Ecstasy tipping into mayhem, connection collapsing into confusion. This is why sacred texts and teachers urge us to avoid intoxicated environments, not out of fear, but for preservation of clarity and vibration. You think you're just unwinding with friends, but energetically, you've entered a battlefield, one where your light is dimmed, your intuition drowned, and your power slowly siphoned off. It may look like a celebration, but spiritually, it's a storm. And a hangover you feel the next day? It's not just dehydration. It's your soul trying to rebuild what was torn in the chaos. So next time you step into a space saturated with spirits, ask yourself, am I entering a place of connection or stepping into a collective descent masked as fun? Because not all laughter echoes from joy. Some of it is the sound of energy unraveling. There comes a moment, quiet, trembling, when you realize this isn't just about the drink. It's about what the drink has become, a symbol of escape, a mask for the pain, a ritual of forgetting. And in that moment, a question rises like a whisper from deep within. What if I didn't need this? What if I could remember who I was without it? That is the beginning of liberation. Not through shame, not through force, but through awakening. When you understand what alcohol truly does, how it distorts your energy, clouds your clarity, pulls you away from your essence, you begin to see the bars of the cage you never knew you were in. And once you see the cage, you can never unsee it. This is the turning point. The moment you stop reaching for numbness and start reaching for truth. The work ahead isn't easy. It asks for reflection, presence, forgiveness. But it also offers you everything alcohol could never give. Peace without price, clarity without collapse, joy without regret. Through meditation, through nature, through conscious breath and sacred silence, you begin to stitch your energy field back together. Every step toward presence is a step away from the illusion. Every moment of honesty is a reclamation of your power. This isn't about perfection. It's about remembering that you are whole, that the light you seek has always been within you, waiting for you to stop running, to stop drowning, to stand still in your truth and say, I am enough. I am awake. I am free. Alcohol may have been the shadow, but you are the light. And now is the time to rise, to return, to reclaim the soul you were never meant to lose. Alcohol has long worn the mask of comfort, offering escape, ecstasy, and ease. But beneath it lies a deeper truth, a force that fractures the soul, clouds the mind, and veils the divine light within. From its ancient alchemical roots to its modern spiritual consequences, it seduces us into forgetting who we truly are. Yet within that seduction lies a choice, the choice to awaken, to reclaim your energy, to reconnect with your essence. These 7 revelations are not warnings alone. They are invitations to step out of illusion, to rise in truth, and to remember the sacred power that has always lived inside you.